Mara here,
and it's Jessica
from Sci for Us. Welcome to our STEM sessions, where we bring science to you at home.
We make science available and accessible for everyone.
So, what do we always start off with? 60-second
experiments. So, in this 60-second experiment, we are going to be making a rocket.
Ooh.
And we're going to try and launch it into the moon.
Ooh.
Okay.
What do we need for this?
So, for this experiment, we'll need some cardboard pieces,
Okay.
a pencil in order to draw out your templates,
Okay.
some scissors,
Yeah.
string,
Yeah.
a straw,
Yeah.
sellotape, and some colouring pens or like anything to decorate your spaceship.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing that we can do is draw out our templates.
Mm-hmm.
So we can draw our moon, and then we can draw out the spaceship, and then we're going to cut them out.
Okay. So like a rocket.
Like a rocket.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
What do we do now?
Okay, so then you start to cut up the templates that you've just created.
Okay.
So you can cut the moon. Next step, so after you've got your rocket and your moon, the next step is to take some leftover card and just draw like two rectangles and cut them out. You don't have to draw them, you can just cut them out. And you cut them in half. Cut them in half. And then on each side, so then you'll take the rocket template, and on the back of the template you'll cut straw on like the top bit, and then you put another straw. You should have your straws on your template like so.
I'm going to take our string and we're going to put it through one side of the straw, through the first straw. Then we'll take that straw and put it and attach it to the moon. And you can use some sellotape to hold it down. Then, with the remainder of the string, what you'll do is you will feed, so the remainder of the straw and all the string, you'll feed that back through the other straw and put it down.
Then you're going to stick the remainder of the string on the rectangle.
And now we can have a race to the moon. Let's get set, go. I forgot what to do again because I actually forgot what to do. So you have to pull the strings out.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go. So today, our main topic, or what we're looking at, is the moon, right? So we're going to start off with some interesting facts that you may want to know about the moon.
Okay, so the moon is the planet's only natural permanent satellite, and this means that it orbits, so natural satellites orbit the Earth.
Okay, so we can only ever see one side of the moon, and that's called the near side.
The moon actually orbits the Earth, and this takes 27.3 days. And because it's spinning on its axis, that's the reason why we can only always see one side of the moon from Earth.
Right, okay. And the first person to ever go to the moon was a guy called Neil Armstrong, who I'm sure you've all heard of.
So another interesting fact is that from Earth, the moon and the sun look about the same size from Earth, but actually the moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, but it's 400 times closer to the Earth. That's why they look the same size. So it's smaller but closer to the Earth.
Wow, okay. And another one is that the moon actually causes the Earth to move, and it's responsible for also causing tides in our seas and our oceans. The moon also has an effect on the light because it actually reflects the sunlight. and also it has an effect on timings, which, you know, certain animals rely on because that's what they use to be able to migrate to other places, such as birds.
Oh, so the moon has a lot of purposes.
A lot of purposes.
Okay, so should we start our first experiment?
Yep. So experiment number 1. We're using Oreos and paper plates to be able to know and distinguish between different faces of the moon, or the different moons that we may see in the sky. Okay, so we need like toothpicks.
So for the first phase, if we get our Oreos, try and make sure they're not cracked. And what we want you to do is to untwist the Oreo. Then it's better if you chill the Oreos so that you're able to actually peel off the white thing more easily. So for the first phase of the moon is called a new moon, and we cannot see the new moon, and this is because we're looking at the unlit half of the moon.
Yeah.
So we get a full moon when the moon is directly between the earth and the sun. So try and untwist the... Okay.
So phase number 2 out of 8, we now have our waxing crescent, and this is when it's basically a crescent and it increases in size as we go from day to day.
Okay, so how do we do this without
again? But now we're gonna have like a moon shape, basically, but from the right hand side.
The third phase is called the first quarter moon, and this is where we can see half of the moon.
Okay.
So and this becomes after the crescent phase. So if you get another clean Oreo, untwist it, try not to break it when you untwist it, and then if you just scratch away half, because this is called the first quarter, but it's when we can see half of the moon.
The fourth phase out of 8 is called the waxing gibbous, and this is when we can see more than half of the moon, because that is what is lit up. So now take your Oreo and you scrape off less than half,
but doing like you still want it to
look like a moon.
crescent.
Yeah.
It should be more than. So the fifth phase is called the full moon, and this is when we can see the whole moon lit up, and this is because the moon is on the opposite side of the earth from the sun. So for this, we just want you to unsplit the Oreo and then just leave it fully white, because this is the full moon. So try your best to leave it fully white. I've got one here already. You may have one already.
Move on to the 6th phase out of 8 phases, and this is what we call the waning gibbous. Okay, so this is basically the opposite of the waxing gibbous, and now more than half of the moon will still be on our Oreo, and this is the bit that's going to be lit. Yeah. And as we said with the waxing gibbous, that every day, as we go from day to day, it increases. This is basically the opposite of the waxing gibbous. So the size of the lit moon every day, as the days increase, the size begins to decrease.
And this is where it gets the name waning, because it wanes.
Yeah, cool. So now you take your Oreo and we will make sure that we still have more than half of the cream on there.
So then the 7th phase is called the last quarter, and we go back to only being able to see half of the moon, so only half of it is lit, but this time around the lit side is on the left hand side, whereas the first quarter the lit side was on the right hand side. So if you get your Oreo and just leave half, only scrape away half.
Then we have our last one, our last phase, and this is called the waning crescent. And here it's going to be the opposite of our waxing crescent, and the size decreases again from day to day, and it's going to be lit on the left hand side of our Oreo.
And you only need a small piece, a small crescent showing. The new moon, which the one that we can't see, and then every time we use the name waxing, it's because it's growing. So every single day more is being added to the moon, so we can see more and more. And then we see once we get to this phase, which is called the full moon, where we can see all of it, we start to get waning, so we're starting to get less and less of the moon showing, and then we get back to our
new moon,
which we can't see.
So understand using Oreos, and make sure that you do understand it before you decide to munch it.
Literally. Okay. We have so many Oreos left over in this experiment. We just think, let's make an Oreo milkshake. We had some milk and we had some vanilla ice cream in our house. We used oat milk and then some ice cream. Our ice cream's ready, lovely and melted. Right. Jess, are you ready to taste it? Cheers. It's so Oreo-y. It's like drinking an Oreo.
Literally. Experiment number 2. So, what we're going to do is, we are now on the moon, right? And now we want to see what the moon looks like. So we're going to be able to visualize this by using our black paper and our shaving foam. So what you're going to need to do is spray the shaving foam all over the black paper.
In a circle shape.
In a circle shape, obviously, because the moon looks circle. So, okay, you can fill it up. So, just finished spraying it, and now you see that our moon doesn't look smooth at all. And this is actually a very good and true representation of what the moon is like. So the moon, and this is what we'll see, so the moon actually gets hit by so many asteroids and meteorites, and that's what causes it to have so many craters on the moon. So obviously you're thinking the moon is like the same as the earth, and the earth should get hit, right? And that is true. The earth also does get hit by asteroids and meteoroids. But the reason why we can't see, or there's no craters on our side, is because we have an atmosphere which protects the earth, so we don't get hit and feel the force of these asteroids and meteoroids. So the moon has no atmosphere, which is why it gets hit by the asteroids and the meteoroids, and there's craters on the moon. So now what we're going to do is we're going to play a little game to see how many craters we can form on our moon. So all you need to do now is take your shaving foam moon, which is on your black paper, and you can take a ball that you may have. We just took our Play-Doh that we love to make so much, and now we're going to hit our shaving foam and see what we can get.
See that there's loads of craters on our moon, and this is literally how our moon gets hit. Number 3. So this is just going to be another experiment where we can look at how the moon has craters. So just more like a creative one. So for this experiment, you'll need coins or anything that's circular shaped. You'll need foil. You'll also need a black piece of paper and a Pritt stick. Those are the main things. Then if you have any white colour pencils or any black, then that's optional that you can use to just help do further detail. So the first thing that we want you to do is, if you have, you can draw a circle freehand, or you can use anything to draw a big circle, and that is going to be your main moon. But we want you to draw the circle onto a straight piece of foil. So preferably doesn't have anything on it. I'm gonna try and be as circular as possible with the foil. Now what we want you to do is get some of your circular objects, put it onto your black piece of paper, get some of your circular objects, then by all different sizes. Once you have that, is to put your piece of foil over your coins and the circular objects, and then we want you to rub your finger and make the imprints. So you can start to see the imprints on your foil. Be in random places because these imprints are meant to represent the craters on Earth. So give it a good rub around, underneath, and varying sizes in various places. Now remove what's underneath and then get some glue and then stick it on to your black piece of paper. And there you have it. And you could decorate your picture. So if you want, you can use some paints and you can draw around the outside of it. So you can use some, we just have some water paints. And you could just draw around the outside. Okay, so you should have your marvelous moon pictures.
4
moon rocks.
Yes. So for this one, like the title, we are going to be making some moon rocks. So what we'll need for this experiment is food colouring, so black or blue or both. Just any dark colours would be preferable. Then we need some baking soda, a bowl of water, which we just got from the tap. Some glitter is optional, but it'll make your moon rock look really nice. Then for after, you'll need some vinegar as well. Okay, cool. So the first step is to get your bowl of water, which we've already got, and then you're gonna put some food colouring in enough. And then in the other bowl, we're gonna pour some baking soda in there. You just wanna add like a quarter, okay, 3/4 of a cup. Yep. And then before you add the colour water to the soda, if you have any glitter, now's the time that you might want to put some glitter into your coloured water. Okay, so now we've got our lovely water. We're going to add that bit by bit into the baking soda. And the reason why you want to do it bit by bit is because we want like a crumbly kind of texture from the baking soda. So not too soggy.
So much like moon rock.
Cool. So once we get a texture like this, then what you need to do now is we're going to start collecting our mixture and try shape it into like different moon rocks, basically.
So you can mould it into what you want and it also crumbles.
Cool. So then once you get your desired amount of moon rocks, then we're just going to leave it to harden a bit before we can move on to the second part of this experiment. So we've come back to our rocks that we left on the side, and now the second part of this experiment is to put some vinegar over the rocks, and let's see what happens.
Ooh, fizzing moon rocks.
Ooh. very cool. And you can see the glitter.
Oh yeah, it's really pretty.
Yeah. Yep. So you can see that obviously this is happening.
And that is because you have an acid and you have the base, which is in the baking soda. So when an acid and a base react, like we said before, you get a neutralization reaction, and that is what we're seeing. Hope you have enjoyed all the experiments about the moon. Remember, if you do any of the experiments, to send us a picture. We love to see it. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Take care.